Morning again, students. So today on 30th of March 2020, we are proceeding with the question bank discussion that was given to you as homework. So we have discussed from question number 1 to question number 10, and now we are in the position to discuss question number 11 to question number 19. So let us see the question number 11, which says that why is the rate of photosynthesis is more during a bright sunny day compared to a cloudy day. So in this question, try to compare what is the factor that is being compared over here. If it's a cloudy day, that means obstruction is present to the sunlight reaching to us, and in a bright sunny day there is no obstruction. That means the amount of sunlight that is reaching to us is definitely a determining factor for photosynthesis. In a bright sunny day, more light is present, so more capturing of the sunlight will be possible by the chlorophyll, and so photosynthesis will be more when compared to a cloudy day. Name the cells that surround the stomatal pore. It is the stomatal pore or the aperture is surrounded by guard cell. Guard cell spelling is Guard, guard cell. Next question is define saliva. Saliva is a combination of salivary amylase, an enzyme, and mucus which is secreted by the salivary glands present in the buccal cavity or the mouth, and it helps in conversion of 30% of the starch into simple disaccharides like maltose. Now the next question of question number 12 is state its difference from bile and gastric juice. So we have to talk about saliva role that we have already done. We have to differentiate, so difference them according to where they are produced. So saliva is produced where? It is produced in the buccal cavity. Bile is produced where? It is produced in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. Gastric juice is produced where? In the stomach, in the gastric glands. Now where it is poured? Saliva is poured into the buccal cavity, in the mouth. Bile juice is secreted where? Where it is going to be secreted? In the small intestine, duodenum. Gastric juice is secreted where? It is secreted in the stomach part. Now talk about the difference in the function. Saliva contains two things. One, mucus that moistens the food, that helps its passage very easily through the alimentary canal, and the salivary amylase, it helps to convert 30% of the starch into simple disaccharides like maltose. What is bile juice doing? Bile juice is having two pigments known as bilirubin and biliverdin. Both of them are important because they have two main functions. First function is it will create alkaline medium for the rest of the enzymes to work very easily in the small intestine, and the second work of this bile juice is the emulsification of fats. That means conversion of large globules of fats into smaller globules. Gastric juice, the function, gastric juice basically contains three things in there. First is the inactive pepsinogen, second is hydrochloric acid, and the third is mucus. Now the HCl over here, that makes the medium acidic for pepsinogen to get converted into active pepsin, that helps in digestion of proteins. When we talk about pepsin or pepsinogen, this is a protein digesting enzyme that will start the protein digestion and convert it into simpler peptones and peptides. Then what is the function of that mucus? Mucus forms a layer over the stomach, the wall of the stomach, and prevent it from eroding it. Okay, this is the difference of where it is produced, where it is secreted, and what is the function. Now come to 13th question. The question is why leaves become yellow in the absence of light. So in the absence of light, what is happening? The chlorophyll pigment is degenerating. When it is degenerating, it will now be looking as yellow. In the next part of the question, in the experiment, light is essential for photosynthesis. It is given in NCERT. Why does the uncovered part of the leaf turns black after putting iodine solution? So on the covered part that was covered with a black flap or a black paper, no amount of light was able to reach there. So chlorophyll was not able to do any photosynthesis, and so no glucose could be formed there and no storage starch was present. But the portion of the leaf where it was remaining as uncovered, that means light could reach that surface. If light could reach that surface, that means the chlorophyll present over there could easily convert it into what? Convert it into glucose by the help of photosynthesis. And that is why this glucose could be converted into starch formed. And when this starch is tested with iodine solution, this turns into blue black color, confirming the presence of starch over there. Come to question number 14. State two sources from which plant obtain nitrogen. See, the source is the atmospheric nitrogen only, but it can be converted into usable nitrate form by two basic ways. One is the atmospheric nitrogen fixation through lightning, and the other is the biological nitrogen fixation by the presence of bacteria like rhizobium in the root nodules of leguminous plants. Now, come to the next question. All plants, 15th question, all plants give out oxygen during day. That means in the daytime respiration is also occurring and photosynthesis is also occurring. When photosynthesis is occurring, what is happening? The plant is taking in CO2 and releasing oxygen. And this oxygen will simultaneously be taken again by respiration process. And the other half of the question says carbon dioxide in night. Carbon dioxide in night, that means light is not present. When light is not present, definitely that means there is no photosynthesis occurring. That means photosynthesis process not occurring, so oxygen will not be evolved. So that is why only respiration is happening in the night, in which oxygen is taken inside and carbon dioxide is released in the night time. So it is a correct statement. We have explained why. Why do we boil the leaf when we test for starch? We are boiling the leaf for testing the starch in order to degenerate the leaf chlorophyll so that it will not perform photosynthesis any further. 16th question. Two green plants are kept separately in two oxygen free containers. That means oxygen is not available. Respiration cannot happen. Comma. One in a dark. That means dark है मतलब photosynthesis नहीं हो सकता. अगर फोटोसिंथेसिस नहीं हो सकता तो ऑक्सीजन इवॉल्व नहीं होगा पहले टेस्ट ट्यूब में. अदर इन अ कंटिन्यूस लाइट. दूसरे वाले को कहाँ रखा? लाइट में रखा. दोनों ही जार में ऑक्सीजन नहीं है, लेकिन जिस जार में लाइट रीच कर पा रहा है, द प्लांट देयर कैन टेक द कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड अवेलेबल एंड यूज द लाइट एनर्जी टू कन्वर्ट इट इनटू ऑक्सीजन. So that means this oxygen will be helpful for the plant to do respiration. That means the plant kept in continuous light will be reaching the compensation point and will still survive and live longer. That means the second condition, the plant will live longer because it is kept in continuous light, due to which it is able to produce its own food and oxygen by the process of photosynthesis. 17th question. If a plant is releasing carbon dioxide, that means it is releasing carbon dioxide, it is not being used, and taking in oxygen during day, that means oxygen is being taken, that means only respiration is happening. Does it mean that there is no photosynthesis occur? Yes, it means the same thing. Why? Because if photosynthesis would have been happening, this CO2 would not have been released. This would have been directly used in the process of photosynthesis, and this would have been converted to glucose. Now, 18th question. What is the common for A part? Cuscuta, tick and leeches. Now, Cuscuta, we say it is a kind of plant parasite. Tick and leeches are also the parasites that are living outside the body epidermis. So basically all the three are parasites. So they will undergo what kind of nutrition? It will undergo parasitic mode of nutrition, where these parasites lives in close physical association with their host organism and derive their nutrition from it. Now, next part of the question, if you see 19th, a variegated leaf with green and yellow patches is used in an experiment to prove that chlorophyll is required for photosynthesis. But before experiment, green positions A and pale yellow B are observed. What will be the color of A just before and after the starch test? So before the starch test, it will be green in color, and after the starch test, it will be blue-black in color. That means green positions of this variegated leaf basically is having what? Chlorophyll present. So if chlorophyll present, then in the presence of sunlight, it can do photosynthesis. If photosynthesis happens in the position of A, glucose will be produced and it will be converted to starch, thus giving the starch test. But B will not show any kind of such starch test, so there will be no difference. So this is the first 9 question we had to discuss. Now we will come across the left 21 question that we have to discuss in the video number 2. Thank you.